Rocksteady Zebek was the most dangerous pirate in all of One Piece. But what if I told you that Oda has been stringing us along as to why he attacked God Valley? It wasn't to kill celestial dragons, and it definitely wasn't because God Valley is somehow Laugh-Tale. Haven't you noticed that most, if not all, of the mythical zones in One Piece are somehow connected to God Valley? Kaido ate his mythical zone there, Yamato's the child of a God Valley member, Marco's the follower of a God Valley member, and the list goes on. But this sequence of events leads to a goal that 99% of people overlooked. And when you hear what it is, I guarantee you it will be correct and you will be completely mind blown. But before we jump into it, make sure to like and subscribe for consistent One Piece theories at least twice a week. So from what we know, Rocksteady Zebek was a notorious pirate that not only had his own era, but he was strong enough to take on Garp plus Roger. This is a pirate that gathered a group of people known as Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Shiki, etc. Like Zebek knew what he was doing and he was a super powerful and notorious figure. But one peculiar detail about Zebek a lot of people don't take into account is the fact that he created this crew in order to make one big score. This is a very important detail and I want you to hang on to this for later. And the second important detail that plays a role in Zebek and this theory is the concept of him wanting to become king of the world. A lot of people overlook this and they don't pay enough attention to this, and I guarantee you by the end of this video you're gonna see why that detail matters so much. But yeah, this notorious pirate who had his own era and had a huge strong collective group of people went to an island known as God Valley, and he had a huge fight against Roger and Garp. These two powerhouses had a hard time taking him down, but the important thing to note is that God Valley and Zebek ended up being erased from history. This battle, known as the God Valley Incident, is going to play a huge role in the story, and this is also what caused the era of Roger. So let's hang on to the concept of him being erased from history along with God Valley. Well, first of all, I find it very interesting how almost every single mythical zone in One Piece is somehow connected and tied into God Valley. For an example, Kaido ate his Uo Uo no Mi Marosuryu, a mythical zone at God Valley Incident. This ties into what happened there along with Big Mom, but regardless, we know for a fact at least one mythical zone was eaten on that island. Then you have the child of Kaido, Yamato, who ate the Inu Inu no Mi Maro Okuchi no Makami. I guarantee you that Kaido got this fruit from God Valley Incident, brought it with him to Wano, and wanted to give it to his child. And then you even have Higurashi, who had the Hebi Hebi no Mi Maro Yamata no Orochi and ended up passing it to Orochi. I guarantee you any amount of money that Higurashi herself ended up grabbing this fruit because she was at the God Valley Incident, or at least because God Valley itself had mythical zones. And huge shout out to my boy Joe 3 Skull Theories because he has a whole thread on this concept with his own unique take and twist, and I guarantee you'll like it. His link is in the description. Make sure to hit the follow and support fellow creators. But the most important possibility is that the Hito Hito no Mi Maronika was on God Valley. This fits the narrative that God Valley had mythical zones, and this is definitely a reason why Zebek would target that island in specific. And it would explain why he made his crew. He made the crew to make one big score, and I guarantee you that this ridiculously powered fruit was the reason it was the one big score Zebek was trying to make. And given everything in the story we've seen behind Luffy being limited by imagination, I guarantee you Zebek targeted this fruit because he knew if he had a hold of it, he could become king of the world. So again, we know that the Nika fruit was erased from annals of history, we know Zebek was erased from history, and we know that the God Valley Island was erased from history. And I believe all three were erased together, not because of Zebek or the island, but because of the Nika fruit. Now I know your first initial reaction might be,
well, how does that make sense? Celestial dragons lived on God Valley.
Well, that's where the curveball is, because Oda never said that God Valley was the home of the celestial dragons. I don't know who started that belief in that headcanon, but that's simply not true. In chapter 957, it says that Garp and Roger teamed up there to save celestial dragons and their slaves. It doesn't specifically say that they lived there, it's more so to save celestial dragons and their slaves as a whole. But Zebek being a pirate and an enemy of the world government, of course they would not want him to go to God Valley, get these mythical zones, especially the Nika fruit, because it puts the celestial dragons in danger, not because that's their home. And it would still make sense it's called God Valley because these god fruits live there and they remained there, not because they're the home of the celestial dragons. And all those mythical Zoan fruits, all those devil fruits would include the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Because don't forget, at the end of the day, Nika is a sun god, therefore fitting the description of God Valley. All throughout the story, Nika and the fruit has been erased from history and has been silenced by the world government. Just look at who's who. He tells Jinbei that a guard disappeared only because he mentioned the name Nika. So it makes sense that if the Nika fruit was there and Zebek was trying to get a hold of it, that they would erase both of those concepts. And then we have the world government, the Godase being upset that Nika is on a wanted poster. They don't want Nika known, they don't want any signs of Nika Nika's existence in the world of One Piece. And if you pay attention, you can see that it's heavily implied that Nika and Joy Boy are one and the same. Whether one's a person and one's a title, or they're both people, or they're both titles, in some capacity, those two things are the same thing. As seen by Luffy throughout the Wano arc, it seems like him being Joy Boy and eating the Nika fruit means that these two are one concept, they are one ideal. So when they try to silence Joy Boy and they try to silence the Void Sentry, they are silencing Nika in return. Now to slow down, let's talk about Xebec again and kind of collect our thoughts. I believe that Xebec at some point thought he himself was Joy Boy, so therefore him looking for this Nika fruit, regardless of how he discovered it, of course he would want the Nika fruit to become the super strong person and rule the world just like the ancient kingdom did. But as we know, he failed when he went to God Valley and he ended up dying. Seeing how Kaido really looks up to Xebec and he admires him to some degree, I'd imagine that Xebec realized, okay, I'm the failed Joy Boy, but I want to pass this belief down to a follower, which is the reason why Kaido himself thought he was Joy Boy and why he didn't think anyone could defeat him, etc. But come to find out, Kaido waited in Wano for 20 years just to be defeated by Nika, just to be defeated by Joy Boy. Now I actually want to take a quick step back just to look at the narrative Oda has presented us in a non-biased and logical point of view. So Oda introduces a pirate known as Xebec who had his own era and he was wiped from history. Then he shows us an island, he shows us an event known as God Valley that was also wiped from history. Then Oda shows us the Nika fruit, a special fruit that Shanks stole from a world government ship. Then come to find out, this special fruit, the Nika fruit, was erased from the annals of history. The likelihood that all three of these plot devices are connected and the world government wanted to silence all three at the same time is very high. And this would also tie in why Shanks himself stole the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or should I say Nika fruit, from a world government ship. I highly doubt that Shanks stole a random devil fruit, seeing how he grew up on a pirate ship that pretty much almost condemned eating devil fruits. Then he himself and his own crew, none of those guys eat devil fruits in fear of not being able to swim. Shanks, along with his friends and his crew, none of these guys like eating devil fruits, so for him to steal a random devil fruit really doesn't fit what we know about Shanks. He stole the fruit because he knows about Nika, he knows about Joy Boy, and he wants to fulfill this prophecy of Joy Boy returning. And one more key note here, one more key point is Shanks is a very smart, powerful man. I'm not taking anything from him, but at the same time, Xebec was even more powerful by owning his own era. So if Shanks is the type of guy to know about Joy Boy, Nika, the prophecies, Laugh Tale, all that type of stuff, I would easily argue that Xebec, the man who owned his own era, knew about Nika and Joy Boy as well. And again, this would explain why Kaido himself also knows about Joy Boy. Therefore, my conclusion is that Rocksteady Xebec targeted God Valley, the home of mythical Zoans, in order to get the Hito Hito no Mi Maro Nika, which is one big score, allowing him to become king of the world. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for more One Piece content. Banger video on my side, definitely check it out, but I hope you have a nice day. Peace.